Welcome back to the Most Wanted Podcast. I'm your host Nahum Bokala, and nothing is safe from discussion over here. Before we start off, let me shout out those listening in on Anchor, Radio Public, Overcast, Breaker, Pocket Cast, as well as Google Podcasts. Also want to give a big shout out to those listening in through Spotify as well. If you're listening in through Apple Podcasts, make sure to give a 5-star rating and review for the podcast as well. If you're listening in on YouTube via the Brar Hive channel, make sure to like and comment on the video, as well as subscribe to the channel while you're at it. You can catch me on Twitch at Bokalenahum, which is my last name, first name, where you can catch me either playing games or just live reacting to really anything on YouTube or whatever. You can stay up to date with the podcast on Instagram at Most Wanted Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Most Wanted Pod. How are we doing, guys? By the time this episode comes out, it will probably be around the Christmas area. So if it comes out by then, have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah for any people who celebrate while listening to this podcast. And if it doesn't come out by then, and it comes out a little bit later, that's probably going to be, New Year's area, I would assume. So if it comes out by then, Happy New Year's. So this episode, I want to talk about Star Wars, or as I like to say, the downfall of Star Wars, as this episode is called. If you guys know me, I'm a really big Star Wars fan. When did I first watch I think I was maybe about 8 or so. No, maybe a little bit younger. When I watched episode 1, and then from there, I just watched everything, the prequels, the original trilogy. When Rogue One and that shit came out, I was so excited. When I heard that Disney picked up Star Wars, they bought Lucasfilm and they wanted to continue on the Skywalker storyline. I'm like, say less. But maybe we should start off from the beginning. So the original trilogy, Star Wars, in my opinion, you can never go wrong with the original trilogy. That is probably the best trilogy when it comes to Star Wars, because the first two, A New Hope and then especially The Empire Strikes Back, are just peak fiction. You cannot go wrong with it. The storylines are great, the characters are amazing. The characterization is great. The world building is top tier. I think Star Wars has some of the best world building I've ever seen in fiction, I would say. I know that there's probably other, series that I need to get into. I've heard Dune is also really, really good in that type of thing, where it's a lot more of world building, character expansion, a whole lot of intergalactic politics, which sounds really cool. Intergalactic Game of Thrones is what I heard it being compared to. So I'm interested. I still haven't seen Game of Thrones yet, which I feel like I should, but you know me, I'm probably not going to get to it until another 3-5 years. I don't know. Lord knows. So the first two movies, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, perfect. I would probably give them 9s to 10s. And then, what was the third movie called? So wait, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back. It's a Return of the Jedi. That's what it is. Dog, what the fuck? Yeah, Return of the Jedi. That, I feel it got bogged down by a few things. First of all, let's get this one out of the way. Boba Fett should not have been done as dirty as he was. Come on. Are you serious? One of the coldest niggas in episode 5, right? At the time, it wasn't even known as episode 5. It was just the story that was. So technically, then it was episode 2. But anyways, move on. Boba Fett should not have been done the way he was. He was introduced as a cold-ass bounty hunter, right? One of the top nigga in his craft. And he gets killed by a blind Han Solo and gets knocked into the Sarlacc. What? I know this has been beaten down to death, but I haven't even talked about it. My nigga, do better. Do better. Nah, that's like Steph Curry blowing the 3-1 lead against the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2016. You cannot do that. There's no way when you had victory in the palm of your hand and then you just, by a blind nigga, swat that shit. Wouldn't let that shit happen to me though. Anyways, yeah, episode 6, I would still say it's a pretty good watch, but Boba Fett getting done dirty the way he was. I don't know, Han Solo kind of just didn't feel right to me. Ever since he died in episode 5. And then when he was brought back in episode 6, I think it was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was the issue, because initially Harrison Ford, the actor who played Han Solo, apparently he didn't want to come back to play Han, and so That's why they had the potential of killing him off in episode 5. But because he was offered a shitload of money by Lucasfilm, he was like, alright, okay, I guess I'll come back. And then that's why he was brought back. But even then, it was like a little bit iffy on how he was written. It was sounded like he was a lot more, like he regressed in character. That's what it looked like to me. Like he was a lot more generic rather than, you know, how he was in episode 5 and episode 4. But I think that might just be me. I'm not too sure. But that and the Ewoks. The Ewoks also kind of got me mad. They should not have been staying on Endor for that long. There's no way. Okay, similar argument. Those furry, small-ass Ewoks, right? They should not have been folding military-grade stormtroopers. Not like, I know the stormtroopers have a shit reputation for having horrible aim and stuff, but like, come on. There's no way in heaven and hell you cannot shoot these Ewok, literal, what are they called? Care Bears. Literal Care Bears. You cannot shoot them down. All I know is if I would, give me a pack of bubblegum and at least a pistol, I promise you I'm murdering every single Ewok in sight if I was a stormtrooper. That's all I would need. That's all I would need. Anyways, but yeah, episode 6, I would probably give it like out of 10, maybe like a 7. I think honestly, like them staying on Endor for so long and like the way they kind of did some characters a little dirty, that kind of threw me off a little bit. But besides that, it was still a really good watch. Like the end scene is perfect. Oh my goodness, with Anakin coming back to finally, redeem himself, save his son, throw away the fucking Palpatine like he was garbage. I'm like, that's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. And then honestly, they could have left it off like that and it would have been like chill. Like no one needed to see anything else and it would have been like, yeah, this is a perfect trilogy. And then in, I believe, the 80s, 90s, I think episode 1 came out in 91, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it came out 91. Basically, it was prequel, so it was going to be highlighting the life of Anakin Skywalker and what led him to the path of becoming Darth Vader. And everyone was like, what? Yo, say no more. That sounds fucking dope. Episode 1 comes around, right? And this is me talking about in hindsight. When I first watched it when I was a little kid, I thought it was fucking dope as shit. I mean, one scene in particular is still one of the best scenes I've ever seen, which is, see what I did there? Anyways, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, that final scene in Naboo, I'm dumb, in Naboo, that was so sick. Oh my goodness, that was so fucking raw. And then the music, Duel of the Fates in the background. Oh my goodness. Oh, I think Duel of the Fates is probably one of the most, that and the Imperial March theme, so basically Darth Vader's theme. Those are two of the most iconic Star Wars songs of all time, in my opinion at least. There's no, like the moment you hear it, dun 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 dun. Come on, everyone knows what it's about to happen. That's free smoke. Everyone's gonna catch it. Yeah, episode 1, I think it was a decent watch, but like overall, it was kind of a slog. Like it was kind of, how would I say, confusing. Yeah, it was definitely confusing because when I went back to watch it, I was like, what is the plot of it again? And like the fact that I couldn't remember, like keep in mind, I haven't seen the original Star Wars trilogy in years. But I still know what happens, like, in terms of plot details, perfectly. When it comes to episode 1, I'm like, what the fuck happened? And it's kind of similar for the whole trilogy, but, like, episode 1 specifically, because you don't know exactly what's going on. All you know is, like, yeah, politics between Naboo and... I don't even remember who else. I think it was Naboo and, like, the Trade Federation, I think it was. Lord knows I can't remember. Jesus Christ, it's been forever. But yeah, and then it shows, a young Anakin Skywalker, a young Padme Amidala, which was kind of weird considering how Padme was a lot older than Anakin, but was still kind of flirting with him. And I'm like, this kind of seems a little fucked. I mean, well, how old was Padme and how old was Anakin at the time? Let me check, actually. Anakin is 9 and Padme is 14. That's kind of fucked up. Like, What? And you're still flirting? Come on, that's nasty. That's nasty. That's nasty. Like, I get it. It's movie, right? It's fictional, but even if like, that's just icky. But then after that was episode 2. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, right? So this is about the start of the Clone Wars. Yeah, so this is pretty much like starting the Clone Wars. We get Jango Fett getting introduced and killed in the same movie, which it'd be like that, wouldn't be like that, but at least that was the introduction of Boba Fett. So we'll take it. Oh shit, I haven't even talked about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the best character in the prequels. Oh shit, I haven't even mentioned him. Yeah, so Obi-Wan Kenobi, I feel like I really don't need to explain a whole lot because Star Wars is just so well known that like everyone kind of knows what's going on when it comes to like some of the main characters. Like everyone knows Darth Vader / Anakin Skywalker. Everyone knows Luke Skywalker. Everyone knows and Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I'm like, I feel like I need to explain too much here. But yeah, Obi-Wan is probably the best character in all of the prequels. And I don't even think that's up for debate. Like, I think that's actually fact. Maybe like close second would be like Anakin, but like Obi-Wan is just, he's just that guy. He's just that guy. And now there's a Kenobi confirmed show coming up for Disney Plus. Is it a show or a movie? I don't even know. But either or, I need it. I need it. So when Attack of the Clones came out, I mean, it did fairly well. Like, there was a lot. It was the first time that we've seen Jedi, like a whole bunch of Jedis just on smoke at the same time. I'm like, oh, okay, we're going down like this. Okay, we got big nigga Mace Windu in the building, of course, Master Yoda in the building. And honestly, I think it was decent, but not my favorite of the prequels. And then episode 3, easily the most memeable of the entire Star Wars like franchise. The amount of memes that have come out of it, holy shit, it is pure comedy. But on top of that, it still is the best of the prequels, in my opinion. Like, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie, in my opinion. It's a good movie. But the memes just, just top tier. So it kind of highlights, oh yeah, Padme is pregnant. Now Anakin's like, oh shit. And he gets lured to the dark side. So this is the movie where Anakin finally goes into the dark side. And Obi-Wan is like, oh shit, my student just went to the dark side. What the fuck? And so it's a really good movie, I would say. It's pretty solid, but the memes just, they just hit different. But overall, I think the prequels were handled like, they were iffy, It was handled a little iffy, but they were crucified on the internet. Everyone was like, nah, the prequels are all ass. Everyone was in agreement, right? And then when Disney finally bought Star Wars, or not Star Wars, but Lucasfilm in 2012, I think it was, 2013, for like $4 billion. I'm like, okay, George Lucas, get your bag, king. Get your bag. You deserve it. But when we see that, we assume, hey, more Disney movies. Or, more Disney, I'm dumb as shit. More Star Wars movies, more Star Wars content. So we're like, oh, say less. But the first thing that they did, which kind of threw us off in terms of the fandom, was they made that the Star Wars Legends, which is pretty much all the books and novels that came out after like the original trilogy and the prequels. It's pretty much like extra canon that's, going into more stories about after the movies. They made them so it's like all non-canon. So we're like, oh, I mean, there were some really good stories in there, but I see what they were trying to do. So I'm like, it kind of fucked me up, but I was like, you know what? I understand because they want to tell like a concise story. So I'm like, you know what? I'll respect it. I respect it. And then episode 7 was announced. And oh my goodness, everyone was so hype. And then we get but like we see, Finn being portrayed by John Boyega, my dog, my nigga right there. And there was so much backlash because he was holding a lightsaber because they were like, what? A black Jedi? There's a nigga? What? Yeah, I can't lie. A whole lot of neckbeards showed out their true colors. Actually, not like, don't get me wrong. I got a neckbeard, right? I have one. I'm finally filling in on the sides, as you can see. Thank fuck. But, for the most part, it's kind of on my neck. But even if, like, that's so fucked up. Come on. A Jedi can be anyone. Like, that's the whole point. Anyone can be a Jedi. And anyone can be a true hero, bro. But no, the vitriol is like, oh my lord. Jedi can't be black stormtrooper. Oh, you're out of your mind. What happened to all the clones? I'm like, bro, it's a new story set 30 years after the original trilogy. Are you serious right now? I swear, Star Wars fandom and the Spider-Man fandom have to be some of the most toxic fandoms I've ever seen. Because you can never do right by them. You literally can never do right by them. It is that... Okay, wait. There's Sonic the Hedgehog fandom, right? Nasty. Spider-Man, and Star Wars fans. Those are probably like the 3 worst fan bases that I've ever seen, just because they're just so toxic. They're just nasty. And so the movie comes out, and it was good. It was, kind of a rerun of, The New Hope. And it was still a really good time. I enjoyed myself a lot. I was watching with a bunch of my friends. They were all like, oh, what the fuck? This is great. I agreed. It was a lot of fun. And then a new character, Rey. Rey was introduced, and she was going to be the Jedi instead of Finn. And I was like, okay, cool. So Finn is going to be a supporting character. It's kind of like the Han Solo role. And I'm like, okay, I rock with that. That's cool. I kind of wanted Finn to be the Jedi. I can't lie. Want to see a nigga as a Skywalker? Who would say no to that? I mean, besides racist, but like that's something else. Anyways, so yeah, overall the movie did really well in theaters. And everyone was coming up with different theories, like, oh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen with Kylo Ren, who was revealed to be actually Ben Solo, the son of Han Solo and Leia, Princess Leia. Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. And so, after the first movie came out, so there was a whole bunch of speculation about what was going to happen based off of the end of the movie. But keep in mind, for this episode, I don't think I'm going to go into too much depth of, the down of each movie, because at this point I feel like a lot of people have seen the movie, so I don't think I'm going to go too in depth of that. I think I'm going to go more in depth with the outside of what happened. I'm just giving you quick little rundown about what's going on. Then episode 8 comes out. And episode 8 is, I think, when Star Wars truly began to fall. It's debatable. Because, well, actually, wait, I'm missing some shit. We'll get to episode 8, but I gotta shout out Rogue One. Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies because it's not even taking place in terms of there's no Skywalkers involved, there's no Jedis, there's no nothing. It's literally just people, just niggas versus in a war. It was literally set in the time period between episode 3, not Empire Strikes Back, but what is episode 3? There's a Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and is it Return of the Sith? No. What? Am I dumb? Am I losing brain cells? Revenge of the Sith. Oh, so I was right. I'm a real fan. I knew it. I'm built different. Built for tough, as they say. So it was set in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and in that time, it was pretty much detailing how the rebels even got the schematics for the Death Star in the first place. So if that movie didn't happen, then, well, obviously, the original trilogy happened, but it was just showing the explanation of how, you could even get to that point in A New Hope. So I'm like, okay, I'm really rocking with it. And so it was really cool to see that type of movie finally come out about in Star Wars. It was wasn't focused on the Skywalkers or, Han Solo or whatever. It was just regular people fighting a war against, the big conglomerate empire. And so it was really cool. I thought it was sick. And then episode 8 comes out, and the amount of backlash that episode 8 got, it was really, really divisive. Some people hated it, and some people love it. At first, I didn't like it at all. I gotta keep it a stack. I did not like the movie at all. I felt like they did so many things wrong. I mean, even now, I've definitely warmed up to the movie, but even now, there's still some things that rub me the wrong way. They threw away Finn almost entirely. They gave him a brand new romance with, what was her name? Rose, I believe. Even though it's you really don't have to give him multiple romances. And it literally started all because people were saying what was his name? Finn and Poe should be a couple, but Disney, no gay people, so that's why they tried to make sure that they were as separate as possible when it comes to being romantically involved. So I'm like, it doesn't really matter, like if they end up hooked up, whatever, it's cool as long as it's good storytelling. I don't care. And so I've definitely warmed up to how they portrayed Luke Skywalker in the movie as well. At first I thought he was definitely misplayed, like, oh, that's not how Luke Skywalker would act. But in hindsight, it's like he is an old man that has seen everything there is to offer in terms of the galaxy, and he has not betrayed, but in his eyes, he's lost the trust of his best friend and his sister by his nephew turning to the dark side and his nephew murdering Luke's entire school of young Padawans. And so Luke obviously isolates himself and becomes a hermit. Well, a cranky hermit at that. And so when Rey goes to him, like, I get it. It was actually good storytelling. But I feel like they shouldn't have killed Luke off in the way that they did. It was a really cool way that, they showed just how strong and connected Luke was to the Force at the end when he was going up against, Kylo Ren. It wasn't even him going up against Kylo Ren anyways. It was literally his Force projection going up against Kylo. But he did not need to die. I'm going to keep it a stack. He could have died. I feel like he should have died in the end, in the final movie, or either that or it just doesn't die at all, in my opinion. Like, the sequels did a thing where they systematically killed off almost all of the older characters. So, like, Lando was still alive, but, like, Han is dead, but honestly, I don't think Harrison Ford was going to come back as, like, a main character because he was like, I'm sick and tired of this shit. Mark Hamill loves the series. Oh, he loves Luke Skywalker, but he was killed off. Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed. I think she was supposed to have more scenes in the third movie, but due to her passing, they weren't able to film it all, so that's why I think they cut her role short. So I don't blame them on that part. Hard situation to get through. But overall, they did and then they tried to kill Chewbacca a couple times, but like, those fake deaths that they do where it's like, oh my goodness, I think he's dead. Oh no, I killed him. Turns out, nah, he's alive. But overall, I feel like, and then at the end when it was Kylo who killed off Emperor Snoke, and now he is the leader of, what are they called? The New Republic? No, not New Republic. What are they called? The New Order. Yeah, the New Order. New Order? The One Order? Anyways, whatever order they are. Kylo Ren was now the leader of said, empire, and asking Rey to join, and, there was a whole bunch of mystique in the first movie about who Rey's parents are, and then Kylo Ren and Emperor Snoke are like, no, your parents were nobodies, they just gave you up. And at first everyone's like, what the fuck? And I was like, why would you lead us on like that? And I think at first I thought that was like, what the fuck, why would you lead us on like that? But in hindsight, it's like, it actually could have been done really well, where it's like, yeah, your parents were nobodies, they gave you up, they were shitholes, but anyone can be a real hero. Anyone can be a Jedi. Anyone can pick up a lightsaber if you have enough training and are talented enough. Like, the Force being born inside you should not just be a genetic thing. It should just be like, it could be anyone. But this is where the downfall comes part in. The Rise of Skywalker. Episode 9 fucked up everything. And I think the main reason behind it all was there was no planning. There was literally no planning with the sequel. When it comes to the original trilogy, George Lucas and his team was working on it from episode 4 till episode 6. The prequels, for as much shit as they got, and some of it rightfully deserved, at least it was cohesive storytelling from episode 1 to episode 3. But the sequels, it was like J.J. Abrams directed the first one. Then, what was the name of this? Who was the person that directed the second movie? Let me just check. I'm doing a lot of research today. Rian Johnson directed episode 8, and then J.J. Abrams directed episode 9 again. My question is, why was it that, at least could there have been any dialogue? There was no, like, it looked like there was no dialogue between J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson in terms of, like, how they want to proceed the story. There was none whatsoever, because, like, it could have lended well between episode 7 and 8. Rian Johnson did what he could in terms of, what he was given. There was potential in what he wrote. But episode 9, J.J. Abrams saw the backlash and was like, oh, time to rewind everything. Everything is fixed now. So he pretty much brings back Chancellor Palpatine in the dumbest way possible. Like, the way that he's introduced is by Poe Dameron looking at the rebels and being like, yeah, somehow Palpatine's back. That is an actual line in a multi-billion-dollar franchise who have some of the top writers in the entire industry. Somehow he's back. You couldn't find a way to explain it in like the last movie or this movie at all. Like, it was like the most bullshit reason. Like, Kylo Ren even asked when he found out that it wasn't Snoke that was leading him on the path of, you know, being evil. It was Palpatine. He asked, like, how were you alive? My grandfather killed you. And Palpatine gives the same shit where it's like,
the dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Or however he says, I can't say the I wish I could do the voice. Oh, that would be so sick. But yeah, like, it was the most vague explanation of he's back now. We're like, what the fuck? How? Not only does that happen, but that completely negates Anakin's sacrifice and his whole redemption run in the entire trilogy, like in the past 2 trilogies. Like, what the fuck? And so you defeat that just for Rey to come in and defeat the Chancellor. And when she has the vision of like all the previous Jedi talking to her, you hear Anakin's voice saying, what's it called? Balance the Force like I once did. I'm like, dog. Yeah, but she's doing the same thing that you did. Like, why? What are we doing here? And I'm not shitting on Rey because, you know, she's a woman. Obviously not. Like, let's not get that twisted. Like, some people have criticized Disney, saying it's like, oh, if you criticize, or some of the clapback is like, oh, if you're criticizing Rey's character, you're simply being misogynist. No, I'm criticizing the franchise and her based off of how she was written. I'm not doing anything against her as a person. Why would that matter? I'm talking about her as a character. Her character was poorly written. That's all I'm trying to say. And you find out that it's like, oh, her parents weren't anybody's because they chose to be nobodies. In reality, they were the children of or your father was the son of Palpatine. I'm like, when the fuck did Palpatine have a kid? What are we doing here? What the fuck? Like, the writing was just so nasty. Like, for no reason, literally no reason was there for Rey to all of a sudden be related to one of the most powerful people in the history of Star Wars. Like, blue. No, what's it called? No foreshadowing, no nothing. It was literally like last second. I was like, yeah, she's just related to him now. I'm like, what type of bad writing is this? As well as all the fake deaths. Like, I think they fake kill off Chewbacca once, and it wasn't even that good of a fake death or a fake out death, where Rey thinks that she accidentally forced lightnings Chewbacca's ship as he was being abducted by the New Order. And literally, she's like, oh shit, I killed him. Oh fuck. Literally, the next scene shows that Chewbacca's alive in a New Order ship. If you're gonna do this, at least do it right, in my opinion. And so, I think at that point, a lot of people got turned off to Star Wars. Like, I'm still a fan, but not nearly to the same extent of being hyped for shit that was coming out than I used to be. Like, I heard about The Mandalorian coming out, and I was relatively excited. I keep on hearing there's good things about it, but I don't think I'm going to watch it anytime soon. I know for sure I'm going to watch the Kenobi show. That one I know for a fact I'm watching, because everyone in their mother has been begging for Obi-Wan Kenobi, either movie or TV show, for years. So I know that one I'm watching for sure. But I just don't have the same hype that I used to. And I feel like the same is applied to a bunch of other fans when it comes to Star Wars. Like, it's just so, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you just write yourself into such a bad position where you didn't have to be. And it's like, and not only that, I completely forgot. Episode 9, they even threw away the side characters even more. Poe gets next to nothing. Finn it's like, oh, is he force sensitive? Is he not force sensitive? And he literally reruns the same character arc that he had in the first movie for the third time. I'm like, what the fuck? Not to mention how Star Wars and Lucasfilm, or Disney in general, kind of fucked up how they portrayed Finn in China, where he's on the main poster, like prominently in every single poster around the world except China, where they just scrub him out. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on here? But of course, gotta get the China investors here. It's nasty business, man. It's nasty business. So yeah, I think episode 9 for sure fucked up. Like, just to end on a solid note, I feel like Star Wars definitely didn't have to end up the way that it did, but due to horrible planning, where directors were not, in touch with each other in terms of planning, ultimately it was like everything just went out of order after episode 8. And it wasn't even episode 8's fault. I blame episode 9, because you could have done something with what Rian Johnson left in episode 8. There was potential there. I believe there was like a script for the original episode 9 that came out like a couple years ago, and I read through a crash course version of it, and it sounded solid. I'm like, why did we not get this instead of the abomination that we got in theaters? It makes no sense whatsoever. So ultimately, I feel like the downfall of Star Wars definitely did occur. It's still, don't get me wrong, it still is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Like, that is, the name Star Wars is synonymous with cash at this point. There's no way around it. Like, it's gonna make money no matter what, but definitely the intrigue for me, and at least some of the fandom, has definitely died down in terms of how it used to be from, like, when we heard that episode 7 was gonna be coming out, and, all of the in-between movies, the anthology films, that's what they're called. So, like, Solo, I still haven't seen Solo now that I think about it. I haven't seen Solo, I haven't seen The Mandalorian yet, but overall, it was just bad planning overall by Marvel, by Lucasfilm / Disney. So maybe they can turn it around, I don't know, but fingers crossed, waiting to see, but I'm not holding out any hope. So with that being said, thank y'all for making it to the end of the episode. If you want to show love to the podcast, follow me on both Instagram at Most Wanted Podcast and Twitter at Most Wanted Pod to stay up to date on guest features, upload days, and more. Once again, want to shout out those listening in on Google Podcast, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and Anchor. If you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give a 5-star rating and review as well. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify as well as on YouTube via the Brar Hive channel, where not only can you find my podcast, but plenty of other top-notch material. And until next time, we out. Easy, y'all.